latest here? Because we know that he's had talks with Milan. He's been open about that, but it's not gone down too well, obviously, with the World Cup coming up for US men's national team that he is the head of.
Yeah, you're right. Although we knew that his contract was expiring after the World Cup in September anyway. So I think it's a bit harsh to criticize him for already, you can be committed into your current job, but also thinking about what could happen next and be contacted by other clubs, like is the case with AC Milan. And from that list, we know that Felipe Luis, for example, has already gone to Monaco. This will be official, I expect, tomorrow, that Andoni Iraola is getting closer to Bayer Leverkusen, who will not keep Hjulmand. And that maybe the Milan project was a little bit too early for him, considering the task of it and the size of it as well. So that makes that it becomes Pochettino, I think, becomes one of the leading candidates on what is left on that shortlist. For example, it's a big project that I think he's keen on. It's a project where, again, he'll be out of contract with the US men's national team in September. So he can take that after the World Cup if Milan are ready to wait for him. And I think from US soccer, I think you guarantee that Pochettino is going to be focused on the World Cup. He's spending a lot of time working on the squad, preparing for the World Cup. Milan would come after if he's the manager that they decide to go with. But thinking about what could come next after the World Cup, because he's going to be fully committed to it anyway.
Do you think Jules is right, Frank?
He's right in a way that his representative have the right to talk to the clubs and try to find a future for Pochettino. But what I don't like and what he should avoid is to answer to the press. The simple answer and the only answer should be, I'm 100% with the national team. Don't bother me with my future. I don't want to answer to any question about my future because it's disrespectful to the US national men team. That's the only thing I can say. Yeah, you have the right to talk. There, something can be said and done, but don't answer to the press. Don't put that on the table. It's not the time for that. You have a World Cup to prepare, and don't bother with any questions. Just kick them out.
Football Americas.
Oh, Shaq?
There's the whole panel here. Got you all here.
Here's the thing, and in theory, what Jules is saying makes a whole lot of sense. But the issue is with Mauricio Pochettino is that this conversation hasn't been just about Milan. It's a couple of months ago, the conversation was about Spurs. And a couple of months before that was about somebody else. There's been flirtation going on throughout. And so we can talk about the commitment to the United States men's national team, and we can talk about how he's fully focused on the World Cup. But that's only talk, that's only conversation, that's only rhetoric. And he could have been the first one to say, to Frank's point, not just on this matter, but on other matters that have come up in the past, I'm not talking to anybody. This is my priority. This is my only priority. This is the only thing that I'm focusing on. And he wasn't taking that position. He wasn't coming out front and saying, this is not for me to discuss. This is for somebody else to talk about. It's not something that matters to me right now. The United States is what matters to me right now, given that it is a World Cup and given that it is a World Cup played in the United States. So he himself hasn't done a good job of doing away with the speculation and allowing all of us in this sort of space to have these conversations, because he allows the speculation to come up, to grow, to take shape, and to get out of control, because he doesn't take a position. And he hasn't been taking a position. And that's where I have an issue. Look, you're looking out for your future. You're looking out for yourself. It's probably not what I would be doing, given the fact that in less than 2 weeks or in 2 weeks you're starting a World Cup. Okay, you've decided to go in that direction. So be it. But at some point, you have to take the position, and he has never taken the position of, this is my priority, this is what I'm focused on, this is what we're doing, all of that is not important. That should be concerning.
Added to that, we're only a couple of months removed from Mauricio Pochettino taking exception with Timothy Weah for daring to say that regular soccer fans here in the US are being priced out of this World Cup. He goes on record in response to Timothy Weah saying that, to say that you need to be focused on the World Cup, on playing the World Cup, nothing else should matter. While that is an issue, now you're asking us to accept, and in a vacuum, I'm with Jules. I have no issue with him talking to clubs about post-World Cup. in a vacuum. But you cannot criticize Timothy Weah for daring to say that regular soccer fans are being priced out and that he's wrong for making that point and he should be focused on the World Cup, and then asking us to accept that, well, I'm talking to Milan about what's to come after the World Cup. Those two things don't go hand in hand. I am sorry, it is far too big a contradiction for me.
Frank, that made you chuckle.
No, because it's funny. You forbid somebody to do something and you allow yourself to do the same thing. So that's not very nice. But that's why I was kind of laughing about the situation. But I'm with the guys. Nothing much to say. Just be concerned about what you have to do, what you have to achieve, because it's a big task. And don't say a word about what your future. So your future is going to be.
If I were the press officer for U.S. soccer right now, for the U.S. men's national team, I would avoid as many press conferences as I could avoid with Mauricio Pochettino.
Yeah.
Because every time he opens his mouth, something happens. Something happens. For whatever reason, he starts talking and then gets into cul-de-sacs and can't get out. He can't get out of his own way. So, look, let's limit the interactions. It's no longer a case in which you're pushing the World Cup. It's not your job to market the World Cup. The World Cup is happening regardless of whether Mauricio Pochettino is marketing or pushing the product out there or not. It's happening. And now the best thing that you can do as a manager for the United States is present a team that wins matches, and that will speak for itself. You do not need to give any more press conferences.
Okay, let's get to the Andoni Iraola point, because you mentioned, Jules, the Football America's coming up, by the way, if you want more of this.
Hey, hello.
I'll be shouting some more.
Hello.
Alexander tonight. I'm sure there'll be a lot more talk about
Take that.
8:30 p.m. Eastern. Yes, Jules, you mentioned Iraola to Leverkusen, and you said that he, at the time, maybe Milan, not quite yet, that Leverkusen could be a better fit for him, because we're hearing reports out of Germany that this is going ahead. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, I think it's quite well advanced between Bayer Leverkusen and who have, like Spanish bosses, if you want, and Andoni Iraola to take over from Kasper Hjulman, who did a really good job there, taking over from Erik ten Hag, or a decent job, let's put it that way, after missing out on pre-season and just replacing Erik ten Hag's disaster after, 3 games in the season. And it was pretty clear from early on that Hjulman was not going to be there next season. And I think in Andoni Iraola, they probably got the perfect guy, I think, for their project in terms of the young players that they have, the identity that they are still looking to reconnect with after the departure of Xabi Alonso. For him, it's a step up compared to Bournemouth, but it's not yet a step as big as going from Bournemouth to an AC Milan club, for example, that needs rebuilding completely from bottom to the top, really. And I think the project at Milan, certainly the one that was presented to Andoni Iraola, I'm being told, was like, listen, we need you to also pick the CEO and pick the sporting director and pick the technical director. And Andoni Iraola is there looking and say, okay, great, but I want to coach. I'm here to coach and to keep progressing as a manager. I'm a young manager here. So maybe him and Milan just were not wanting the same thing at the same time. However, him and Leverkusen, I think really right now, want the same thing and are looking for the same thing. So for me, it makes sense that he decides to go for them.
That would be quite the get, wouldn't it, for Leverkusen?